I'm
you know.
curious. I don't know. I don't think we asked it, but has there been a situation? There are situations where both of you are cooking at the same time.
No.
No, I'm super.
He's gone into the managerial role.
So whoever touched the pit first is the one driving.
No, not really.
What happens?
I like to use the term voluntold.
If he has to make a run, he said, "Dad, I gotta go get something. Can you watch it?"
Yeah, just watch it.
Right.
You know.
And that's the worst thing because then it's like, okay, son, Dad, you asked for my help.
Yeah. So today I didn't pick about it, but I was like, hey, I'm gonna go pick up the tents. You know, can you go put some wood chips in the pit and close it? You know, because it was kind of running high and I didn't want it to burn. Well, he puts the lump charcoal in there, and I'm looking at it when I get back, and I'm like, he knows better. Like, this is not wood. This is lump charcoal. But
he's like, but did it taste good? Did it taste good?
And I'm just like, I'm like,
Gary Jr.
God. You know, I feel like
I'm in presence of the OG and you're Gary Jr. man.
So like, so it goes back to to that father-son thing. So it goes back to the whole father-son thing.
We got to touch base on that. We didn't touch why.
No, stop. All right. Y'all want to go there? Let's go there.
That was one of the stories on camera. Was how did you get Tito?
Okay, so I've been playing softball for about 11 years now, and the team that I originally started playing tournaments and taking it serious with, we're at a tournament, and one of the guys brought, again, sorry for being blunt, his one-night stand or whatever.
Okay.
And she was like big in the rodeo, and she was a real country girl. You know, we had a light-skinned, guy that he was half white, half Mexican. Hey, my name is Juan. And she's like, hey, Juan, nice to meet you. And I was like, oh, here we go. She's like, and what's your name? And I was like, Gary. And she's like, looks at me kind of sideways, and like he did, everybody starts laughing, and she goes, no, for real. I was like, no, for real, Gary. And everybody is just like hysterically laughing, tears are coming down, and she's like, you're serious, right? I was like, yeah. Yeah, my name is Gary. And I was like, let's not get to my middle name. It gets worse. And she's like, okay, we'll stop there. But,
wait, now I'm curious. What's your middle
we'll get there later.
We'll get that off camera.
Off camera you can get that one.
Fine.
Well, off camera we get that one.
But boring.
So I was like, you know what? Hold tight. By the end of the day, I'll get you a real Mexican name, what you're looking for. She's like, I'm so sorry, but I was expecting a Jose, a Carlos. I said, of course you were, right? So by the end of the night, I was just like, kind of testing the waters, So I was like, man, I'm gonna throw her for a loop and tell him, call me Quique,
Yeah.
And I was like, is it Quique or Tito? And my coach at the time, he was just like, she's white, man. So if she messes up Kike, she's gonna call you Kiki. And I was like, ooh, you're right. I was like, you're right. He's like, the worst you can get out of Tito is Tito. And I was like, you're right. So I was like, you know what? You can just call me Tito. She's like, okay. Yeah, I can see it. I was like, shut up. Shut up.
Because Tito is short for Jose.
Yeah, so everybody's like, all right, how'd you get Tito? Is it short for something? I was like, yeah. And they're like, what? And I was like, nothing. And they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense how I'm called Tito and my real name is Gary. And they're like, your real name is Gary? I'm like, yeah, my real name is Gary. And so, I mean,
it just stuck.
It really did. I ended up leaving the team maybe like 2 or 3 months later, and I played for another team, the team that I've played for almost 9 years, off and on for 9 years. They introduced me as Tito and stuff like that, and it kind of went from there. So the team that I left, they're like, hey, you picked up an outfielder named Gary. Yeah, everybody that listens or watching, I used to play the outfield, believe it or not. So they're like, you picked up an outfielder named Gary? And they're like, no, we picked up an outfielder named Tito. We picked up another guy named Alex and stuff like that, but no Gary. He's like, man, they hear everybody said they went to go play for you. So one tournament there came and they're like, that's Gary right there. He's like, Gary, that's Tito.
How did you feel the first time you heard Tito?
I was confused. Me and his mom, because they questioned us like, that is not his name. No, Tito is not his name. We didn't name him that. He's a junior.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my son.
Yeah.
He looked at his wife like, you got something to tell me?
Yeah, so look, you know, when I go work and stuff like that, you know, they look at me kind of funny. Your name is Gary? And I'm like, yeah. Well, how was it like growing up as a Gary? You know, you're Mexican, you look Mexican and stuff like that.
Last name is Guzman.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
and so I went to college, I went to TSU, and you know, I was already the minority in a minority type of school, you know, atmosphere. You know, so, you know, when you hear Gary, they're like, oh, where's that white kid in this class? And here the Mexican kid is raising his hand, you know? Yeah. And they're looking at me like, what in the world? You know? So I joke with everybody, and they're like, I have never met a guy named Gary, a Mexican named Gary. I said, hey, you know, I'm a part-time magician. I can make another one come up, you know? And they're like, really? I said, yeah, my dad, you know, I'm a junior. They're like, there's two of y'all? I said, yeah, surprise. You know, so.
Did you ever have a hard time with your name, man?
Oh yes, because well, like I said, the middle name. He had to set the middle name.
Okay.
But I'd say other.
No.
Okay.
I was trying to figure. I was confused just like you were.
So it wasn't your choice, I'm guessing.
Oh no, if I could have, I wouldn't have been Gary.
And see, that goes back to why I choose to identify myself as Tito. Like when I meet somebody, you know, hey, Tito, nice to meet you. You know, so.
My dad was happy because he wanted a boy. This is how it all started.
Okay.
So I had 4 older sisters. 5 older sisters, to be exact.
Okay.
So I'm number 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he couldn't believe that I was number 6. I was a boy.
And both of your parents are Hispanic, Mexican?
Yes. My dad's from Seguin. My mom is from Medina, Texas.
Okay, okay.
So as Mexican as you can be.
Right.
So he decided he wanted to name me after one of the first astronauts. Why, I don't know.
Very Texas.
It was Gordon or something. I was like, man, I'm glad you convinced him. I said, but where did he get Gary? So, to top it off, our middle name was Scott. So it's Gary Scott.
Wow, yeah.
You figured that out.
Yours too?
I'm a junior. That's how these things work, you know? You're like a carbon copy.
I could just see it at school, like, Gary Scott. Is that a typo?
Yeah. And, you know, they're looking at the roll and they look up and they're like, no, for real, put your hand down. We're looking for Gary Scott.
So, yes, it was very hard because it's like, Gary? That's not a Spanish name. My last name is Guzman, but that's. So, I get offended when they call me Guzman, and they use it with the S, and mine it's with the Z, and I said, no, it's Guzman. No, I already bad enough, I got 2 white names.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our name, and we, you know, everybody, every now and then somebody, what is your middle name?
We want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, yeah, no, for real. I said, Scott got it.
Let's stick with Slick, you know?